Welcome back to the Alliance Gold Digger Podcast. I'm your host, Rachael Oyer. Today we have a special guest, Representative David Clark. Representative Clark was a Green Beret in the U.S. Army, a business owner, and is married to his beautiful wife, Courtney. Together they have 3 cute kids. He is currently running for the Lieutenant Governor's position here in Georgia. He is not just a political candidate, he is deeply invested in the healthcare policy here in Georgia, especially surrounding prosthetic and orthotic devices. Senate Bill 101 was a collaborative effort between David Clark and Randy Robertson. Today we're going to dive into what that bill means, why it matters, and how David's campaign ties to it. We're so glad you're here. Thank you for listening. Well, thanks so much, David, for being here. I would love to give you an opportunity to talk about why you are running for Lieutenant Governor and what inspired you to do so.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Rachel, for having me on the podcast. I'm David Clark. I was born here in Georgia. I grew up actually in Gwinnett County until I was 12 on a small farm. Got 9 siblings, so there's 10 kids total in the family. And then at 12, we moved to Beaufort on Lake Lanier. And then out of high school, I joined the Army, served 6 years. And then I got out and I got into real estate with 2 of my brothers, went to college at the same time. And my start into politics was in 2014. My oldest brother was serving in the House, and he called me. I remember I was standing on my front porch, and he decided to step out of politics to take a job in California. And he asked me, he goes, "Hey, do you want to run for my seat?" And I remember I told him, "No way." I mean, all of us know politics. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean, you turn on the TV and you see the divide and just everything that goes on in politics. And I said no, and I helped another guy, Michael Brown. He ran for his seat. And I helped knock doors, helped him on his campaign, and he won the primary. He passed away 3 months after winning the primary from a heart attack at 53 years old. And I don't know, something just hit me that I need to run. And so I prayed about it, and I jumped in the special election. There was 6 in the race, and God bless me, I won. I was a little bit nervous running because I was 28 at that time, not married, no kids. And in politics, it's nice to have a family and have that picture, right, the dog. Yeah. Anyways, God gave me the win. And I've been there 11 years. But the big reason for running for LG, I was not planning on running. But had no plans. And July 29th, I got a call from somebody in the House and actually in leadership and was asking me who I was backing for LG. And I said, I'm not head towards backing anybody. Just because I've been down for 11 years, I know who everyone is and their story and what they do behind the scenes and how they act when nobody's watching. And so I told him, but there was one I was kind of still looking at, deciding if I was going to back somebody. And he dropped a name on the phone. And I said, yeah, that's who I'm looking at, still deciding if I do get involved in the race. And he told me, he goes, this guy has some serious allegations, but if he can beat the allegations, he could maybe be the next LG. And if you follow my politics for 11 years, I'm big on integrity, accountability, transparency, doing the right thing. And so I told him, I was like, there's no way I'm going to back somebody and put my name, my reputation on him beating the allegations. And so I was telling my wife that later that day for her birthday, July 29th, took her out for dinner. And I was just telling her, hey, how upset I was to hear about these allegations and stuff. And she said to me, she goes, why don't you run? She's like, you're wrapping your time up in the Green Berets. I'm finishing up my 13th year in the military and decided to get out at the beginning of this year. And she goes, you don't have any skeletons, so why don't you pray about it? So we started praying, called my pastor, called some of my mentors, because I believe you need to have those people in your life who keep you accountable, keep you focused on the direction you should be going, and listen to God and not stepping, off the path that he has for you. And then I called a few of my donors because it's a major race. You don't just launch a campaign and say, hey, I'm going to go win this. Yeah. Statewide, it's a big state, big money. And so we launched our campaign August 12th, and it's been going amazing. I'm going 6 days a week. I take a day off for Sunday, go to church with the wife, spend time with the kids. And then, May 19th, give it to God and give it to the voters.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome. I know that you have a desire to lead here in Georgia for all Georgians. Where does that come from?
I mean, probably a few things. I mean, how my parents raised me, but a big thing, make sure my faith, history, when my mom taught me how to read, and then, the military and all that, just a whole mixture, fighting for people. But the biggest thing I think it comes down to my faith is, you read in the Bible, it's like, it's a clear thing. It's like being a voice for those who have no voice, those who are weaker than you, and specifically women and children, just doing the right thing. And he calls you to do that. And I think that's a huge part of my story and some of the fights I've been in politics, which were not fun, being in the doghouse at times. But you have to be a voice. You have to do the right thing, because I live with two things. It's a mixture of my faith and military, but it's like I know one day I'll stand before God, and I know from the military even more, I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. So it's what I do today matters and echoes for eternity. And so that kind of drives my passion to do what's right no matter what.
No, that's so well said, and connects to why we know each other and how this all started in an August day where we knocked on doors and tried to find somebody who would carry a little bill. At the time, it was called House Bill 87, and you proudly sponsored that bill. But I thought maybe you could talk about what this bill is, why you care about those who use prosthetics and orthotics, and maybe shed some light on what we got done this past year.
Yeah, I remember that day that we actually met, and I was at the Capitol, and I got pulled aside. Hey, but Julianne McConnell, she was like, hey, why don't you meet somebody, and some legislation we're carrying, and maybe you would carry it. And I'm thinking like, oh, what am I getting myself into? But I remember meeting you, and then one that really hit me was I met Elliot, the 6-year-old, and you were telling me about the bill for the prosthetics, orthotics bill, but I remember meeting Elliot is when it hit me. It was like, and again, it goes back to the core of who I am, is like, put yourself in somebody else's shoe. And I remember meeting Elliot. I got 3 kids, Madison 7, Miles 3, and Maverick, who's 18 months old. And, right away I was like, what if that was my son? It was Elliot. He's missing a leg, he's a twin, should have survived birth, but he's living here full of life. And y'all told the story about how you only get one prosthetic every 5 years. Yeah. And then I'm thinking, little Elliot wants to go play in the playground, run around with his brother, go play in the playground, just live life to his full extent. And it captivated me. And I just realized that this was a bill that I was going to become very, very passionate about.
No, you were very passionate, and I, being very green, did not know all the work it was going to take, but we got a lot done. And maybe you could talk about the journey of the bill and kind of how you worked on behalf. Even, I don't mind if you brag about yourself too, because this is an opportunity for you to say this bill, it took a collaboration between a lot of different people and how it got over the finish line.
Yeah. I'll say I played a small part. Yes, I was the one who sponsored it because I'm the elected and was able to carry the bill and put my name on it. But I'll say the biggest thing was the stories that were told. I think we had a huge impact. I remember we had the So Everybody Can Move Day at the Capitol, beginning of session, and so many patients showed up, in the community, being a voice. And then we were able to take so many around, go to the speaker, go to the lieutenant governor. Yeah. I was able to recognize a number of y'all in the gallery that day. And I think it was that connection of the heart, of people understanding, this community that sometimes isn't so noticed, but we were able to highlight them and what they do. And so, that was huge. And I think the biggest we got done the first session, which was huge, because sometimes it can take 3 to 5 years, maybe longer on some of these bills, because I know it had a mandate part in it. And I know sometimes I'm a conservative, a Republican. Sometimes mandates can kind of be a little scary word, but it was the right bill because it makes sense. Just the ROI, the return on investment, is massive, just because when I got to know the community and even meeting, I forget the guy's name, but it was a business guy. He travels all over the country. And I remember he told me, and he also said in committee the story, but how he couldn't shower with his prosthesis, and how he had this travel chair he would unfold and sit in it and take a shower, and it broke, and he had to crawl out of the shower, put back on his prosthesis. He had to drive himself to Home Depot, get one of the buckets, 5-gallon buckets, go back, take a shower. And so those type of stories, I think, had a huge impact, and then also just in committee of telling people, hey, it's not about the mandate. What if this was you or one of your children, your wife, your husband? What would you do? And I think it's so much more than just political. Is it the right thing? Is it the right bill? And that's what got me excited about passing it and getting it done.
And we were able to work with the insurance committee and really those who lobbied on behalf and find a meaningful compromise. I know that was one of the things that was pushed back to us, that we had to make sure we figured out language that made sense. And you and Juliana, we went back and forth on it, and we were able to do that. And that, I think, is the other side of this coin, essentially, is that even though insurance companies, that they needed to know that this was good legislation on their behalf. And maybe you could talk about why it makes sense for insurance companies to cover something like a shower device or anything for activities of daily living, because our patient population being in society is such a benefit. And you talked about ROI.
And also, I mean, you go think about it. It's like, okay, yes, it's a little more on the insurance companies, the costs and all that for those additional 2 prostheses every 3 years. But what it does is, if you look at the community, and I learned a lot from you and everyone, was you just look at the chronic illness in America. A huge part of that in the community who needs orthotics and prosthetics is it's so much higher. I mean, it's just massive obesity, health issues. And it's because they can't go out and just do daily things that we all do and we take for granted, going to exercise, be able to go take a shower by yourself, be able to go travel, work and all that. And what we did, the ROI, I know it's going to pay off for our state, our nation as a whole. And I think when you look at the whole thing, not just political, because too much it becomes political. It's like, well, I'm a Republican, you're a Democrat, and it's all how it looks in the political realm. And it's like, you got to step away from that and just see how does it all add up and what's good for society for generations to come. And I think this bill is going to show that huge difference because people can now go work, travel, like that one guy.
Yeah, Keith. He's a patient here.
Yeah, that's Keith. Yep. And it's just like, instead of him going on welfare, because, I mean, I was talking to him, it's like, that is in the back of your head. It's like, if I can't afford this device, I can't go take a shower, I can't go travel and do business and pay back to society, be a part of it, productive part of society, a lot. And we talk to them just going on welfare because it's like, I can't pay for these devices. So therefore, it actually becomes a burden on society instead of giving them the devices they need. And now they're right there in our society being a productive part and giving back and helping, pay taxes and give back and serve the community. So that was a big part of why we needed to pass, and we did pass it.
No, it made sense, and it was a bipartisan effort, and we were able to really develop a coalition of like-minded foundations and organizations here in Georgia, Blaze Sports being a big one, knowing that what we got done is job-related activities that are covered now, which adaptive sports have been shown, and I know you were highlighted through Blaze Sports because they were so pumped that you got this done, because a lot of their stuff for their kiddos that participate in adaptive sports wasn't covered. So if in fact their insurance policy is one of the few, or I want to say many, because hopefully it'll be many once we get down to the nuts and bolts, still working on that this will be covered, and that those who participate in adaptive sports are more likely to go back to work, which is just a huge piece to our desire. You and I share that similar belief, is getting people out in society and participating, because people with purpose, they continue to do great things in our state and in our nation, and we need people on mission here.
I remember one story I just want to tell that had a huge impact. It was at the Capitol on the So Everybody Can Move Day, and I remember this young woman comes up to me and she told me about the story. She had lost her leg a number of years ago, and she goes, "Hey, can I show you a video, for the first time running again?" And Jared Wallace, who was helping her on the track and all that, he's the three-time Paralympian?
Oh, man, I don't have his records in front of me, but I'll tell you.
Three-time or four-time Paralympian. He's a world record holder, fastest
what hasn't
person.
Jared Wallace done?
Oh, yeah, he's done everything. But I remember she walks up, she goes, "Can I show you this video of me running for the first time in years?" And I was like, "Yeah, definitely." And she showed me the video of her on the track running with her blade. And that was awesome to see. But then she said to me, and she started to tear up. I had to hold back my tears. But she's like, "This is amazing running." She's like, "Because I'm an athlete in the past, and now I can be an athlete again and go run and exercise." She's like, "But my biggest dream in life is to be a mom one day." She's like, "To have kids, to be able to chase after them, play tag, and take care of them." And it's like, that's what we gave. Because if we stayed with the original legislation of just one prosthesis every 5 years, she couldn't go chase after them, and take care of them and be a mom and be a part of society and give back. And so I know that hit me hugely, just even more motivation to get that piece of legislation passed. It's the stories.
It's the stories. We really did. We had champions and compelling stories. And of course, we made Jared Wallace carry his medals around the entire Capitol. And I told him to wear shorts. And one day we'll get him on the podcast to talk about his experience.
And everybody wanted to put that medal on.
He was so gracious. He really did. He shared his medals with many people. And that was Nan. Nan is an incredible advocate, and we're so grateful that she shares her story. Brad, a small business owner, a patient at a ProCare, he just wanted a secondary device. He's a carpenter, business owner, was boxing and needed a more robust orthotic. I think a lot of people don't know that you only got one, and it couldn't even be for activity specific. No prosthetist or orthotist could write in their note that it was for showering or for boxing, because that was not considered an activity of daily living or rehabilitation. And so we got wording and a definition that allows us, as not me, I'm not a clinician, I just run your insurance and get you an appointment, but our clinicians here can now say our patient wants to be able to shower independently, so we're able to provide a shower device if in fact they carry the right kind of insurance, which is going to lead me to my next point, is that we are ambitious people and we want to figure out a way for state health benefit plan and those of the Board of Regents, because we have 2 patient advocates that they, one from the very beginning advocated with us, Linda Fisher, and she's not eligible. She gave her time and her energy away, and we still know that in 26, she's not going to be eligible. And I thought maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. And Linda Fisher, I actually just had lunch with her a few weeks ago down in South Georgia. As I was campaigning, had some extra time. We stopped, had lunch, and just an amazing lady. Her story, the accident she went through, lost her daughter, and just her faith and how God's using her to pour into other people is just absolutely amazing. But yeah, this upcoming session, we're working on legislation to be able to add the state healthcare plan, the Board of Regents healthcare, to allowing the prosthesis and orthesis and all that. So I'm feeling optimistic. Again, I mean, it's always a battle in politics. You never know the games that are played. Yeah. And then you have the big elections, statewide elections coming up. So you never know if people's political, games and them wanting to win whatever election they're running for, do they get in and mess with bills just because they don't want somebody to get some recognition? But I'm feeling optimistic. We're going to go full throttle and hopefully get it passed and make sure that everybody's on a level playing field and they can chase their future, their dreams, and just live life like all of us.
I know. We're doing a series, and you're the first part of the series. And the patient that I'm really advocating for, Linda was my first one, and then I met all these others through this whole entire experience. And of course, all my patients here at Alliance. It's a privilege to treat our neighbors and to care for those that are in their worst days. We don't do happy medicine. We only do life-altering medicine, and to be able to be a small part of their recovery, it fuels Jason and I to want to fight for them at all levels. Hannah Neighbors is going to be on, and Lane is probably smiling because we've already recorded it in advance, but she's advocating in Rome, Georgia, as a special education teacher who was in a terrible car accident and lost her leg resulting in the accident, and is a teacher. And this legislation will not cover her health insurance. So Hannah's town hosted a fundraiser so she could have a running leg. And that's the part that I think you and I both agree on. We're both active people. The gift of mobility, knowing that our mental health being codified here in the state of Georgia is equal to physical health. You work out, you know what it's like. And I think we can resonate with patients wanting to be able to be active. I thought maybe you could talk about why mental health, physical health, and we can't leave our teachers out. We can't leave these other important people here in Georgia out of this amazing legislation.
Oh yeah, and definitely just, think about just the working out, being able to get outside, go run, go walk, play a sport is massive. I know my time in the military and overseas, the biggest thing that was in the back of my mind was like, yeah, I'm willing to give my life to this country, but like, what if I lose my leg? Running to me is massive. Running, going to work out every day, it's my stress release, to be able to clear my head and all that. And I remember in the back of my head, I'm going, if I lose a leg or something, like I can't go run, can't go exercise. That's the back of my head. And it's like, I can imagine people who are going through this on their plans, they can't get the additional prosthesis to go exercise. That's massive on mental health, on obesity, chronic illness, everything. And so I think, but I think a big thing is why this just passed is why a big reason why I'm running for LG is too often legislation is looked at, sadly, by both sides of how much does it benefit me? Like if I pass this legislation, is it going to put big money in my coffers, in my campaign coffers for a future election, Because, this bill, I would do this bill any day of the week. I'd lose a re-election just to have passed it, and to continue passing this next piece. But it's not about, is it going to get you ahead? Is it going to give you all this recognition and publicity? Is it right or is it wrong? And when you know it's right, go pass it, put your whole heart into it. Because I know, as I've got to know this community, they're just the most fiery, passionate people who won't take a no. They're only going to take a yes. And it motivates me because it's like, I'm blessed. I got all my limbs, and I'm blessed, but when you see them not give up, not quit, that's why I'm running is just, I think it's people who look at anything in life is, what would I do if I was in that person's shoe? And then if it's the right thing to do, even if it's not a big community, if it doesn't pay you back politically or financially, who cares, right? It's about loving God, loving others, doing the right thing. And I think that's the problem in politics is why I'm running is I think so many people are left out. And there's so many other problems we have in communities that need help, but it's like, oh, well, they only have a small voice. They don't have a lot of money to give, to my campaign. I think that's just wrong.
No, that was the first thing that was said to me is, well, how big is your patient population? When I told them how small it was, they're like, okay, strike one. How many clinics in the state of Georgia? I told them strike two. We're not a large profession. And strike three is that that we're not like high rollers here in the state of Georgia. And I remember very clearly that one of my very close friends, she offered to have me speak with her dad. And he said, Rachel, you're fighting Goliath. And he said, and that to me, I was like, well, good thing I'm on David. And then look who is actually sponsoring our bill, a David, somebody who understands that the person that you are up against, it doesn't matter what you're up against, you do the right thing. And so that to me is how you've lived your life. I don't know if you want to talk about any of the stories of some other past legislation. It doesn't even have to be connected to prosthetics and orthotics that you championed and was the right thing for the state of Georgia, and why those that are listening, and Jason and I try not to be super political because we serve a wide variety of people, and unfortunately politics divides people. I love politics because policy is about people, and I love people. But you can talk about the things that you've done in your 11 years that you're really proud of.
Yeah, thank you. I'm passionate about, a big one I carried last year, and being a Green Beret combat vet, national security is a big one. Passed a banning foreign adversaries from buying up farmland here in Georgia because, it's critical to any nation, your water supply, your food supply, your infrastructure, all that. And it banned foreign adversaries like China, Russia, Iran for being able to come into our state and buy up our farmland and all that. So that was a big one, and I was passionate to carry that. And then I carried another one allowing, right now there was a ratio on doctors like in their clinics and all that, they had to have the ratio to where it was even with nurses and PAs. And down in like South and rural Georgia, sometimes you can't get PAs. And so it was, if you had 8, you're allowed to hire, it had to be 4 PAs, 4 APRNs, which made no sense because if it was about healthcare, then if they can just hire 8 nurses, then that should be okay. Because if you can't get PAs, you can't get PAs because not everybody wants to go down to South or rural Georgia. Right. And so that was when I passed, I think it was last year or the year before. But it's just simple bills that are technically small, but are massive, and how it changes the landscape and for people and for healthcare and all that. So, and then I have another one. It was going to pass this year, and it was the next bill up. And
Signy die.
But
sorry,
it was one with home health services.
I'm sorry, yeah.
And which is actually would be a huge one for Georgia, especially in South and rural Georgia, but all over, of allowing PAs and APRNs to sign off. But again, the politics that gets involved is like, oh, well, doctors should be overseeing this. But during COVID for 3 years, Governor Kemp signed an executive order allowing APRNs and PAs to sign off on home health services, which is huge because you need to sign that right away and not wait because then you got to redo the whole process. And that was a fight for a few years. But it should pass this next session. All it needs is a vote in the Senate because we had to change up one little part of it to fix one part of the legislation, but that'd be a huge one.
No, that would help so much.
To expand healthcare.
Expand it and really getting those that are qualified to oversee care, the access. A lot of people don't know the red tape that we fight in healthcare, and you have been so generous with fighting for those providers that here in Georgia, we are kind of circularly going to each other, and you care about that. This legislation, other pieces of legislation, I think we've talked candidly. Through this, we've become friends. I think the world about you and your wife and your family. We desire a nation, a state that it's common sense. And I thought maybe I could let you talk about your love for common sense and sustainability and good ideas.
Yeah, it's a big reason why I'm running. I believe that common sense is common sense. If it's the right thing, pass it through and stop playing politics all the time. I get we have politics, but like I've been for 11 years. I hate it. Let's just sit down and talk. Like put a biasness, put away our personal ambitions. It's like, just do the right thing. I think too much, and that's why I'm running for LG, is like, I will be the most transparent, upfront, lieutenant governor or a statewide candidate we've had, at least in my lifetime of 39 years. I can tell you that. It's just sitting down. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. And then not holding grudges. I think a big thing is, even during this election, and I say it when I travel a lot, is like, even if there's a senator or somebody who's against me or attacks me, and, I go win this, which I believe I can win this, and I will win it May 19th, is I preside over the Senate as the lieutenant governor. And if there's a senator who attacked me, called me names, but has a good piece of legislation, I'm not going to hold it up and not let it come to the floor. If it's a good piece of legislation, it's going to pass, because it's all about doing the right thing for Georgia, moving us forward, helping out the people, and not, holding back and getting retribution just because somebody was against you. I think too much in politics, it's, well, if you're not for me, then now going forward, I'm going to get you back. And I think that's the problem. And it's like, a big quote I love is Ronald Reagan had it on his desk. I have it on my desk. I've been to his library 3 times, so big fan. But it says there's no limit to how high a man can go as long as he doesn't mind who gets the credit. And I think that's what life's about. It's like, you let God judge, you let him settle the scores. You just love him, love others, do the right thing, and where the chips fall, they fall. And I always tell people, I think I'm invincible until I die, because as long as I'm following God, seeking him, wherever the chips fall, then that's where he has me. And I think too often we lose that, especially in politics. It becomes a game, and, you're for me or you're against me, and there's no middle ground, just come together trying to do the right thing in the moment.
No, and I know you, and I know you're not in it for the other person or yourself. You're actually here to serve your constituents and the rest of us, and you care about Georgians. That's been a massive shift for me, where on the other side, watching this all happen, you learn really fast. And one of my as a senator, he said, if you want a friend, bring your dog. It can be very cutthroat, and it comes down to it's a game, and not remembering that we're here to serve. And so I know that is your mindset. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about kind of the things that you hope for the future for Georgia, some pieces of information that if someone was considering you as a candidate, why should they vote for you? What would be a reason that they could trust that you understand what's going on in Georgia and your position and why you want to move this, whatever it is, forward?
I think the biggest thing, right now I'm running in a primary as a Republican, but across the board though, I think the biggest thing is why you should and can vote for me and want to vote for me is we all vote, especially with the other Republicans, we vote 99.9% the same way outwardly, but it's who do you trust when you lay your head on your pillow at night, you and your family? Who do you trust who would take a bullet for you, who will stand up, who will hold the line and do the right thing? Because it's easy during campaign season. Everyone's going to say their best lines. They're going to try to win you over. They're going to say whatever they need to say to try to get your vote. But it's who's going to stand up. And I think you can look back, you can actually Google me. My history's out there. But back in 2019, I'd been given a chairmanship. I was presiding over a committee. And in politics, it's a big thing. You go to the chairman dinners, the lunches, you're on the inside technically. And I remember I just got it in 2019. And then the AJC put out a article about the former Speaker of the House, and where he had tweaked a 100-year law back in, I think it was 2005, and allowed attorneys who are elected in the House or the Senate to use continuances all year long, not just during session. So they could just push off a court case just by sending a simple letter saying, I'm busy doing the people's business. And I remember there was this one story about this young girl. She was 11 years old, got raped, and had a day in court, and it was 10 years. And it hit me because me and my wife, we had just had Madison, our first, and she was like 6 months old then, and she's daddy's girl. The moment she was born, it's like, I lived life with a passion and conviction, but now I lived it with 1,000 times more conviction and passion because I knew to protect her, to fight for the next generation. And I remember it was tough. I went in to talk to him because I couldn't sleep for a few days, and I'm like, I've got to call him out, or at least talk to him for him to explain why he did this. And I remember I walked in, and I know in politics, if you call somebody out like the Speaker of the House, there's retribution times 1,000, unless they go down. And I remember I walked in, and I told him, I said, Mr. Speaker, I love you. Jesus loves you. Thank you for my chairmanship, all my committees. But, we all run for politics, all of us, in a roundabout way saying, hey, I'm going to fight for you and your families as if you're my own. And how can I stay silent when all these victims, and it wasn't just her, he was protecting, pedophiles, rapists, domestic abusers, and running cases 10 to 15 years old. And I remember I told him, I was like, who am I as a man to stay silent? And I speak up. I'm a dad. And I said, if that was my girl, I promise you I'll do something about it. And I said, And I gotta be honest, if that was my girl, 10 years, no day in court, I'm gonna kill you and the rapist. I mean, I'm just saying as a dad, like that's not justice. That's not America. That's not the court systems being handled right. And I said, and I have to call you out. And I remember I did call him out and call for him to resign. And then he did not go down. He stripped me of my chairmanship, my committees. And then 22, he spent almost exactly $1 million on my reelection. I was actually not here serving the Green Berets. I was called up. I was gone for 12 weeks. My wife was pregnant with our second child, Miles. And I gave her a power of attorney. She signed me up. And I came back a week before the election, and we won 60-40 in a new redrawn district against the majority caucus chair. So I think I have a track record. You don't have to always agree with me on everything. I mean, a lot of us don't agree 100% of the time. Me and my wife don't agree 100% of the time. But, I don't live for the title. I don't live for my next reelection. I always try to be a voice for others, fight, do the right thing. And if God wants me in office and the voters, they're going to put me there. And I think that's the core of who I am. I love doing the right thing, and it's in my DNA and it's in my blood. I love fighting. I love doing the right thing, and I love being a fighter for people.
No, so well said. And I just wanted to close with a few rapid fire things so people can know a little bit more about David Clark.
Definitely. Fire away.
All right. What's your favorite place to visit in Georgia?
Man, I've been traveling all over Georgia, and I'm loving the state. But I'd say St. Simon's. My mom grew up a number of her years there on the island, and we've gone back for years. My grandma would go back and get a condo for a month, and we'd go take turns, all the grandchildren, spend time with her. So I love St. Simon's.
All right. Are you reading any good books or listening to any good podcasts? Of course, my podcast. You don't have to say that one, but any others.
Your podcast, definitely. I'm not listening to too much podcasts and books right now. I'm just campaigning 6 days a week at least. But I'll say a book, it's probably one of my favorite books, is The Comeback by Louis Giglio. Mm-hmm. And the short part of it, and it's just an amazing book. If you've not read it, go read it. But it talks about when God takes us through crazy trials, life sometimes doesn't seem fair, but God takes us through those trials because we're strong enough to handle it so we can help literally save the life of another who can't. And so I always remember, that book and love it. Just inspires me that no matter what happens in life, that God can use it to help save others. And like Linda Fisher, her story, it's just heartbreaking. And you want to cry when she's telling you the story about losing her daughter and all that and what she went through, but how God's using her, to save other people's lives who can't handle the tragedy of what something like she went through. So anyways, I love the book. The Comeback by Louis Giglio is just absolutely amazing.
I'm going to have to read that. I've never read that. What's your personal motto or guiding principle? I think you've shared a bunch already, but if you got one, share it with the audience.
I'll just say the quote I mentioned. I love it. That there's no limit to how high a man can go as long as he doesn't mind who gets the credit. And I think that's what life's about. It's, your destiny is secure if you love your God, love others, do the right thing, and leave the rest, to him. So I love that quote.
No, that's so powerful. All right. What kind of breakfast would you order? I know everybody talks about the Waffle House order, but I don't feel like you eat at Waffle House. Do you eat at Waffle House?
Oh, I do.
All right.
I love Waffle House sometimes. It's amazing.
Sometimes
even though sometimes your stomach does not always feel so great. But breakfast, I love bacon. So if there's bacon there, I'm good. I'm in. I can eat all the bacon.
All right. And then you've got a bunch of kids, younger side, in the state of Georgia. Where do you and your wife don't out yourself of all your favorite spots because everybody's going to want to go there, but where do you like to take your kids to unwind other than church? Where do you guys go and hang out?
Well, right now when you have kids 7, 3, and 1, and the 3 and 1 year old are boys and the tornadoes, we don't go out too much as a family. We go pick up, say, Chick-fil-A, and we'll go to the park because the kids love to go play and do that. But if me and my wife go out, usually Bare Bones right there in Buford. Yeah. Gigi and Buddy own, and we love that place. Love the steak, the food, the environment. It's just amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. In closing, I don't always get a microphone. I don't know if you have anybody you want to thank or want to lift up and just say thank you for allowing you to continue to serve. I'm assuming your beautiful wife, but anyone else? Yeah.
Probably just my wife, and then just everyone who've come through my life at times. Some people who would not always be, some big person, big name, but I think it's just the stories that inspire you, that grow you, that fire you up. And I'll say you, Rachel, and Jason. I'll say in just the last year, a little over a year of us knowing each other, just, it lights a fire in you. Just those stories of fighting for people. And doesn't have, because we worked on the orthotics, prosthetics, it does a lot more. It's a rippling effect. And I'll say just traveling Georgia, I mean, just meeting people who are crushed under the burden of living wages, property tax, taxes, just everything that they're going through. And it just fires me up. So it's so many people. But definitely my wife, she's 100% behind me. She's actually sometimes get more passionate than me. I got to tell, hey, calm down a little bit. We got a long campaign to go, one step at a time. But no, thank you for having me on the podcast. I loved it and look forward to getting this legislation, the rest of it through.
Well, thank you so much for fighting for our patients. Listeners, if you're interested in donating or supporting David's campaign, it's all in the description box below. It takes everyone to show up on Election Day, May 19th. But many of you might not know it is costly to run a campaign. So if you're interested in donating, please consider donating. It will be all attached on our Instagram account. And also, David is a man of prayer. So if you are a person of prayer, pray for him. Continue to support him and his wife as they are sticking their necks out, believing that their next is to serve at a statewide position. And we're grateful for their decision to serve. Thanks for listening. Were you inspired or challenged today? If so, connect with us. Follow the links in the description box below. We want to hear from you. Until next time, thanks for listening to the Alliance Goal Digger podcast.